I made one call. And you've heard me on my videos say, I'm making one call today and going to see if I can get an appointment. I made one call. I didn't necessarily get an appointment, but that's my listing. I mean, I'll be shocked if I don't get that listing after the rapport I built on that call.
Sometimes God takes you on a journey you didn't know you needed to bring you everything you ever wanted. Trust the plan.
All right, guys, I hope you're doing fantastic today. Today, I'm going to be calling. Well, first off, today I'm on here with my buddy Travis, and we're making some calls, but I wanted to fire up. I've got a new expired in my area. It was listed at $449,900, $449,900. It's in a pretty desirable area of the state. It's waterfront. It's 1,846 square feet, and it's a 3-2 on half an acre. Was on the market for 87 days, and it looks like they got it under contract with the closing date of 9/19, which was yesterday. And the day before yesterday, they went ahead and pulled it off the market. So I'm assuming the contract fell apart a day before closing and probably really upset them, because I imagine the day before closing, we've already moved all our stuff out. We've already found another house to buy. There's so many pieces of this puzzle that are all the way finished the day before closing. And it probably threw them into a tailspin. And they're like, to heck with it, pull it off the market. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to hear when we make this phone call. But we're going to look to see where we can help them, what we can do to maybe give them a big win this time. And that's something that I want you to think about every time that you're on a call with an expired or canceled. You know, the hardest part of this, people think the hardest part is getting somebody that wants to buy their house. I don't believe that's the hardest part. The hardest part is getting it smoothly from contract to close. And quite frequently, you'll lose a client because you aren't doing the things in that process of contract to close to ensure that you get it to a closing table. For example, I had a waterfront property earlier this year that I put on the market. Day number one, I got a great offer for it. The offer was good enough to accept right on its face, other than they had an earnest money deposit, which is refundable to the buyer if they walk away from the deal, and they did not have a due diligence deposit. Now, due diligence deposit in North Carolina is like a inspection deposit. It's a deposit that's made. It's still a good faith deposit. It still comes off of the closing disclosure, but it's a deposit that's made that's non-refundable for the purpose of us taking it off of the market so that the buyer can do inspections and all that other stuff. And what happened on this particular one is it was $1,000 earnest money deposit, nothing on the due diligence deposit. And while the amount of the offer and the closing date, all that stuff worked out perfect, right? The type of loan was great. It was a conventional loan, which worked out perfect for my people. And they were willing to accept the offer, but I suggested that we ask them to switch it from earnest money over to due diligence. We want more skin in the game anytime that we can get more skin in the game, because the more that the buyer applies to this purchase that they don't get back, the better chance it is they get all the way to a closing table. And when I asked them if they would switch the earnest money over to due diligence and leave everything else the same, we're not asking for any more money. We're not asking for free money. We're not asking for any of that stuff. We just want a more solid offer in the sense that they're committed, right? And when I made that request, they pulled their offer off the table. Now, what that told me was that chances are, if the inspection had a couple of items on it, they were going to be really difficult, and they would have good standing to be difficult because other than the inspection fee, they wouldn't have any money tied up in this. They could walk away and get their earnest money deposit back and, just kind of move on to something else. So our goal as listing agents is going to be sure that we get them as committed to the purchase as possible. Now, on this same property, Offer number 2 came in 3 days later. Again, great offer. Made the same request because just like the first one, they only had the money, the good faith deposit and the earnest money. Asked them to switch that good faith deposit over to due diligence, and they walked from the deal. They didn't even counter. They didn't even come back and negotiate. They just walked away. Well, those are not good offers. It doesn't matter how much the offer is for. Those are people that are wishy-washy and are going to walk away from the deal at the drop of a hat. And this is some of the things that we need to do here, right, is to ensure that when we accept an offer, it's a strong offer, and that we have that comfort of knowing that they have skin in the game, that they are dedicated to get this from beginning to end. And in a case like this, now I don't know that this happened in this case, but it may have, right? The deal fell apart the day before closing. Sometimes that happens and you just can't help it. But if you can get them dedicated on the due diligence deposit, at least in North Carolina, most of you probably have something similar in your state. But in our case, at the very beginning of the contract, they're already putting money in that they can't get back out if we ask for this to be due diligence. And then once they get their inspection, right? Inspections are between what, $400 and $800, who knows, depending on your area, maybe it's more. Matter of fact, I'd be curious to know, you guys drop in the chat how much you pay for inspections, right? I'd be curious if some areas it's way, way more or way less. But in my area, between $400 and $800 is going to be the inspection fee. Another $100 for the termite inspection, right? Once they pay for the appraisal, then that's another, $500, $600, $700, $800 that they're paying there. So at each one of these points, they're putting more and more skin in the game, which is something that we want. We want them putting that skin in the game so that we don't get down to the day before closing like on this one and end up with the deal falling apart. And now you've really put your sellers in a rough position because they were ready to move. They were moving the next day or potentially already moved. And now they got to move all their stuff back. So these calls are kind of interesting where the deal fell apart and they pulled it off the market. Who knows what we're going to get? But this is a beautiful property. It's waterfront. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at here. Because we always want to look at these things with a mind to what can we do better when we are listing these than what the other agent potentially did. Share screen. All right, so as you can see from the front, nothing spectacular about the house. It's 1,800 square feet. It's a rancher all on one level, big yard. And you can kind of see in the background, you can see the water peeking out behind the next door neighbor house. The house that we are looking at is this one with the teal colored door on it. But as we scroll through these photos, you can see now this house was built back in the 70s and it has typical construction for 1970s. You can see the back, they've got a Four Seasons room back here with, a whole bank of windows. You see this on waterfront property. You want to be able to have as unobstructed a view from inside the home of the water as possible in as many rooms. All right. Not sure about that photo. We're showing patio set. So far, we're 8 photos in, and we haven't seen the water yet. Now, whenever I do waterfront property, and I like selling waterfront property, I want to show off that water within 3 or 4 photos so that people get to see that, and they don't have to go searching in the bottom of the roll to be able to see what they're getting. Because a big part of why they're buying this house, like this house on half an acre in a neighborhood or whatever, is not a $450,000 house. It's a $450,000 house because it's waterfront. And we're now 11, 12. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the inside. It looks like there's been renovations done to give it the open concept. You can see all of these beams in the ceiling. This is going to be where they came in and did support. They put microlam beams or steel beams up here in the ceiling where there used to be a wall. You can kind of see here, this is that Four Season room. It looks like it's really cute. And they've got some nice beachy colors in here. But again, we're 15 photos in, 16, we still haven't seen any water. We haven't seen the fact that this is a waterfront home yet. The photos aren't bad. Usually I'm on here complaining that the photo quality is garbage. I'm not blown away by the photos, but we're 24 photos in, and we still have not seen waterfront. 25, 26, we're finally seeing a picture of the water, but we don't see how the house is positioned. This is just a close-up of this canal coming in behind this house. And again, here we are again. We don't get to see the house and how it's positioned. And there we are. So now, here is the huge flaw in this listing. It did not get drone photography. I know that. The seller knows that. We're 28 of 28, and all we got to see was 3 rather innocuous photos of this canal. We have no idea how close it is to the house. We have no idea how the house is positioned, how you access the water. This canal is a short canal out to big water, right? But we don't get to see how beautiful any of this is. Guys, if you're going to sell a $450,000 house in a market where the midpoint's 300, my market, the midpoint's 300, this is 50% over the midpoint, right? This is 450,000, which is really worthy of paying the extra money to get drone photography. And here we are. Did they not get the best offer in play because they didn't do proper photography? I think so. And chances are the seller thinks so. So let me turn this off. But that's a fail. And we're looking for fails. Now, what we're not going to do is go on and talk trash about the person's last agent, because we can't ethically. All across the country, we cannot do that. We can't go in there and talk smack. But what we can do is this, and this is what I do regularly. I want to be a mind reader. I look at these listings and I determine where the flaws were in the last listing. And then when I'm talking about how I do business, I talk about the things that they didn't do correctly. Now, let me tell you, the photography is one of my big things, right? I do all my own photography. I went out and bought a really nice camera, took some classes on how to do real estate photography. I did that because I wasn't happy with the professional photographers in my area. I wasn't happy with the quality of the work they were producing. So I said, you know what? I do a lot of listings. Why not get my own stuff? It was a pretty big investment for me, you know, several $1,000s to get something that made sense. But I do my own photography now, and I'm in total control of it. I went out and got my drone pilot's license through the FAA. That way I can do my own drone photography as well. So every listing I do gets drone photos. It doesn't matter if it's a lot for 50,000, which I'm going to photograph today. I got a new listing this week, and it's a water view lot listing. So it's really close to a big river. You actually have views of the river. And so I'm going here in just a little bit to get photos of that and get it up and running on the MLS. And even though it's only a $50,000 listing, it's going to have a whole batch of drone photography on there to show how fantastic this house is. But photography is just one part of it. So once you're done with the photography and you get great photos online, well, that's going to cause that person to click the thumbnail on Zillow or Realtor.com or Truly or whatever. Once they click it, now they're going to want to read the description, and the description has to draw them in. It has to get them engaged and wanting to come set up a showing, right? Because we need as many boots on the ground as possible. The more boots on the ground that we get, the better chance we have of getting a great offer in place. Well, this particular description is 4 sentences long. Views, views, views. This adorable home is just waiting for its next owner. Home is located on a quiet cul-de-sac in Bells Island with 100 feet of water frontage. Enjoy the deck and closed porch or the bright, inviting sunroom overlooking the canal. Like that's there's not a lot of meat and potatoes in that description. Now, it was enough to get an offer in play, but who knows? These calls are always fun, though. We'll see. We will see how this goes.
Hello.
Hey, Janice.
Uh-huh.
Hey, this is Shane Noblin with eXp Realty. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I saw you had a waterfront property on Widgeon Drive in Currituck that came off the market. Are you still trying to get that sold?
Why, do you have somebody?
Well, I don't specifically have somebody. I'm a listing agent in the area, and I do really well with waterfront properties, getting them sold. I've got one now in Currituck. It's not waterfront, but it's $1.5 million, and I got that one under contract. That they actually had it on the market for a year with another agent, and they weren't able to get it sold, and I was able to come in and get it sold through my marketing and whatnot. And I really like speaking with people that have a bad experience or aren't able to get something sold and figure out a way to get it sold. So
well, I'll tell you what the issue is contingencies.
Oh, definitely. So is that why it fell apart? They
Yes, both times.
Oh,
Their buyers fell through.
right.
Well, one just couldn't get a buyer.
Okay.
And then the other one, their buyer fell through.
Well, I'll tell you, a big part of what I do, I'm part of eXp, which is a national, a global brokerage. And something that I do that I have a lot of success with each year is I push a lot of my marketing to New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts. And I do that because if you've got agents in that area that are selling a house for someone, let's say in New York, and that person goes, I want to move to the Carolinas, but I'm not sure where, they'll slide my listings in front of their, potential transplants. And the person might not know to look up Currituck, North Carolina, but when they see that perfect house, they're like, holy cow, that's it. And so about 30% of my listings each year are sold to transplants that are coming down with cash and buying. So I don't have to worry about all that other mess.
Wow.
So it really works out well.
Oh, great. Well, will you do me a favor and send me your information?
I will.
Well, you can just text it to me since you got my phone number.
Well, I've got a resume that kind of goes into, some of my tactics and techniques, that kind of thing. And it's too big to text. I can email it over to you for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's just my full name,
Janice.com. Okay. All right. I've got that. When we get off here, I'll send that right over so you can kind of meet me on paper. Little about me, 2023, out of the 2,000 agents in our MLS, I was ranked number 10th. So while I only focus on— How
long have you been in the business?
So I was a custom home builder in Virginia for 20 years before moving here back in 19. And in 19, rather than try to start up the home building, I decided to transition over to real estate because I didn't have to find all new suppliers and superintendents and all of that stuff.
Isn't it?
It is. So it's worked out really well. So I've got 5 years in selling real estate, but I had 20 years in building brand new houses before that. So I've got a pretty deep wealth of knowledge on this, and I have a lot of fun helping people.
Oh, that's great. That's always made me successful, was, enjoying what I did and helping people.
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes, ma'am.
That sounds great. Send me your information. I just really needed to
catch your breath. Catch your breath.
Catch my breath. It's like, oh my God.
Did it really fall apart the day before closing?
Well, no, it's supposed to close on the 26th.
Oh.
And once, these last people lived in Chesapeake.
Yeah.
And they had their home signed up with first-time home buyers.
Okay.
And they lived over there in Cheshire Village, I think it is Cheshire. And so anyway, accordingly to my real estate agent, their buyers, first-time home buyers. Now I can't imagine that for a $600,000 home.
Right.
But maybe they were in the IT or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, it come back that their inspection was done like the day or so before mine was done.
Okay.
And they came back with the heat pump and the hot water heater, and one of the other appliances was from day one.
Gotcha.
And, and they just did not like that. So they offered them a homeowner's warranty.
Right.
And then I guess the inspector, or maybe the realtor, said, no, that's not, you'll have it for a year, and then nothing's going to break down. And then after that, if you don't keep it, you're going to have issues. Things are going to start breaking down on you.
Right.
So anyway, well, we've all been through that.
Oh,
yeah. I've been through that myself.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, that just scared the heck out of them, evidently, and they backed out.
Oh, now let me guess. You had already moved everything out?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
But I was going to, not have a mortgage.
Right.
So, I was going to find something on the water and not have a mortgage, something that's a little less expensive and not have a mortgage.
Right.
And so anyway, I found the house. Hadn't because of the other issue, and I'd spent a lot of money, going through a loan with the loan application and appraisal fees and inspection and all that stuff, and it was just very expensive. So I said, this time I'm just going to wait, because I've decided I'm just not even going to do a mortgage.
Right.
And so I was all ready to go. It wouldn't have taken that much time for me.
Right.
But they just had to back out. They just couldn't do anything because they couldn't. Now, they did ask to continue, for another month, so they would have a little more time to get another contract underway. And I says, oh, no.
Yeah, no,
not unless you can do a non-contingency, unless you have someone ready to go. But no, we're just not going to do this again.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I'm out there and finding stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Really,
I mean, you're making plans. You're planning your future.
I'm on Zillow all the time. I used to do mortgages, so.
Oh, okay. For who?
So I have a good concept of what's going on, with the market and what's a good deal and what isn't. And
well, I tell you what, the Fed just day before yesterday did a 0.5 point drop.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
That's really nice. We're getting a lot of activity. And I tell you, one of the things that I think is really important, especially on waterfront like yours, is drone photography. See, I went out and got my drone pilot's license back last year so that I could make sure that every one of my listings has drone photography. Because if you can show how that house is positioned, how close it is to water, how close it is to shopping, all of that stuff, it really...
Oh my gosh, the view is panoramic.
I
right
know.
There at my house. It's hard to let it go.
Now, I live over on the Chowan River, and we get right before it dumps into the Albemarle Sound, and we get the sunsets. Are you a sunset house or a sunrise house?
Sunset.
Nice.
Sunset. Yeah. So I'm on the bay side.
Okay.
And the sound side's just practically across the street,
Right.
on the island. So it's on Bay's Island.
Nice.
Yeah, so Bell's Island.
Yeah.
And so anyway, now Chowan River, is that in Edenton?
Edenton, yes, ma'am.
Edenton, yeah. Oh gosh, I love Edenton.
So I was building houses in Virginia. This is back in the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And had been doing it for 20 years there. Really had no intention of moving. We had no mortgage, no anything. And I saw this house, like laughably, I saw this house on Facebook. And it was on the water. It had just been renovated, had a 100-foot pier, 2-car detached garage, and they wanted $150K for it. And I went, well, crap.
Gosh.
I can't do anything like that in Virginia.
No, not at all.
So I was like, all right, well, let's go look at it. And my wife looked at me and said, if you show me this, you better be... Oh, I lost her. We're calling back. It's too good a conversation not to call back.
I'm so sorry I dropped you there.
I was like, uh-oh, did I make her mad?
No. I'm getting ready to go in for an appointment. So.
Oh, do you want me to let you go? We're just kind of chatting
Yeah,
along here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So just send me your information and I'll get back with you. Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Also,
All right.
just food for thought. I have a little bit of time available. I'm gonna be at a closing in Elizabeth City on Monday. So if it makes sense, I'd like to stop by and meet you and see the place, maybe Monday afternoon or early evening. But take a look at my resume and let me know what you think.
Okay, we'll do.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am. Bye. All right, guys. Hold on. Let me get this back up here. Let me change the view. Here we go. Travis, what do you think of that, brother? Like, I made one phone call and I want you guys to absorb something. I am looking to build rapport on every call I make. I don't care about setting appointments. I do care about setting appointments. We need to go on appointments. We need to get business, that kind of thing. But if you listen to how I speak to people, I am looking to stand shoulder to shoulder against the world with these people. I'm looking to build rapport, to build commonality, to have a fun conversation. You see how I already had in my mind what she might have been thinking was the problem with the first one. She took a contingent contract. Her agent sat down with her and said, this is a contingency. They have to sell their house before they can close on your house. And since there were no other options, right, she felt like that was the right move to make. Take that contingency. Let's see if we can get this thing to a closing table. But let me tell you something. If you got great photography, if you got drone photography, if you've got more people chomping to buy this house, there's less chance of you accepting a contingent contract and more chance of you accepting a clean contract, one without any contingencies, maybe a cash deal, whatever the deal may be. But you can see how I kind of dropped in the drone photography in that conversation. That's all based on my research before I even made the call. You can see how I, spoke about the different aspects of this that matter. I spoke about how being able to see how that house is positioned in relation to the water and how beautiful the water is and all that other stuff. You see how I spoke a little bit on my brokerage, how I'm with a national brokerage and I'm working each year to bring buyers from other areas, transplants that are coming in with cash money to buy these properties, right? I'm touching on these things that are about business while I'm chatting about stuff that in a lot of cases, I mean, I'm talking about, I built houses before and I'm talking about, we live over here in the water. She doesn't care where I live, or it might not be that she doesn't care, but we're kindred spirits. We're both waterfront, right? So we're building that commonality. I'm telling her a little bit about my family and how I was building houses in Virginia, and then we ended up moving here and all that other good stuff, right? We're talking about stuff that might not necessarily have anything to do with her listing, right? And then I'm tapping into some of her pain points. I'm like, oh, let me guess. Did you move everything out before this, right before it fell apart? And she kind of laughed. No, I didn't. And so I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, right? Build commonality and rapport with people and you will get business. This lady still wants to sell this house. I went so far down the path of building rapport and proving my worth and showing my value. I'm getting ready to send her over my resume. This is my listing. I have zero doubts after that conversation where this is going in the next week or so. Right? What are your thoughts, Travis? Now you watch that whole thing and you already make some calls and stuff. So how'd you like that?
That was a great call. That was a great call. I like the rapport building, and I also like how you implemented the drone footage and photography, how you provide value as well. I like that moment.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anything you would have done different? I'm always listening, right? So like at the end, I wanted to set an appointment. Right. Either way, she wants to see my resume, right? And she's the one that said, let me give you my email. And then she goes, well, or you can text him. I said, no, it's too big a file. I can't text my resume to you, but I can email it to you. So she gave me her email. right? And so now she's getting my resume here in 5 minutes. And then at the very end, I don't want to be pushy. I don't
Right.
want to force my way in there. But at the very end, I floated that out there. Hey, I'm actually, I have a closing in Elizabeth City, which is the next county over from this county, 10 minutes away. I've got a closing on Monday. Once you look at my resume, if it makes sense, I'd love to stop by and meet you and see the place. Right. So now she's going to do her research on me,
Right.
to look at my stats and all that stuff. But that's my listing. And this is how easy it is. I made one call. And you've heard me on my videos say, I'm making one call today and going to see if I can get an appointment. I made one call. I didn't necessarily get an appointment, but that's my listing. I mean, I'll be shocked if I don't get that listing after the rapport I built on that call. That was just a great one. So you actually get to see firsthand when I say one call, I'm actually making one call. We aren't sitting here calling 20 people and me cut out the other calls. It's a call. Let's build this pipeline, and this is how you do it.
Yep. I seen you make one call. That was it.
That's it. So, guys, if you like this, Travis is coming in here to get some one-on-one coaching from me. If you want one-on-one coaching as well, book a call on my Calendly link below. We can go over, that'll take you to a Zoom room for that meeting. We can go over the details of that. Also, if you're thinking of a brokerage swap, I'd be happy to talk with you about that too. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. So book a call on my Calendly in the link below. I hope you enjoy these videos, and we'll see you on the next one.
Stop talking to people about your big dreams and get to work. Because remember what the Bible says, Proverbs 14:23. There is profit in hard work, but mere talk leads to poverty. Amen.